name's Jeff. I'm the owner and inventor of Cobra jet steering. I have a tripod set up, so I'm going to try and show you how easy it is to install the new Ultimate AK or Super Ultimate AK -19 steering. The -19 means the year 2019. Nozzles were changed in 2019. They made them wider, and they made the reverse buckets wider, and they're still not available to the public to buy separately. So what I did was I made a mock-up using the second generation nozzle the previous year to show you how to do this, because it's really a simple installation. This will show you the same procedures regardless of what nozzle you will put it on. I've already moved the anode. You have an anode that mounts right here. It's flat. Well, when everything's wider, it's going to come around, it's going to hit it. Now you could move it forward, but that worries me because if it comes loose, it's going to come around and get caught in there. So what I did was I had special brackets made, and it's a very simple procedure. You take the two original bolts that are holding it there, take it out, put these brackets on. I give you new bolts with flat washers to hold the brackets to the bosses on the nozzle. And you take your original bolts, put them through the brackets, put a nut on the back, and you're done. So it's really quick, it's really not a problem. And once you've done that, I'll tear this thing up here. Once you've done that, like I said, I made this so I can move it around to accommodate the camera there. The first thing you want to do here is note that you have the reverse bucket. This is the original ones, but the newer ones are much wider, and the nozzles are much wider. And then I have a rudder set up here, all so that I can show you how to do this. And the first thing I would do is take you need a 17 millimeter wrench, 13 millimeter wrench, 10 millimeter, and 12 millimeter. You need a 5 millimeter and a 4 millimeter Allen wrench. And that's pretty much basically what you need. These two brackets are the brackets that will come with your kit so that you can move the anode. And it'll tell you, and the instructions will tell you in detail. I didn't want to waste a whole lot of time on that because that's pretty cut and dry. We're going to take this bolt that uses the 17 millimeter wrench. We're going to undo it. Now, the new nozzles do not have threads in this boss. This is the second generation, so it still has the threads, which will slow me down, but it'll be even easier for you to do because you can just slide it in and out. So, we're going to take the bolt out of here. You're going to notice that the factory put, I think, all the ones I've seen it with three little spacers on this activator that turns the rudder with the nozzle. So we're gonna take those off. We're gonna take that off. Okay. What I'm gonna do is, this is a 10 millimeter set screw. It has an opening in the back so that you can put that Allen wrench in it. So what we're gonna do is on the new ones, being that it's not threaded, you could just push it up in there. But this is threaded, so I have to turn it. So we're gonna turn it in from the bottom because this gets in the way. I'm going to turn it up. Now, like I said, it's much easier with the right nozzle, but this will give us the same end result. I'll leave it down just a little bit so I don't drop these little spacers, because we're going to put the this part on here, and then the spacers on there. I'm going to rotate that up a little, and then we're going to move this without dropping them. Well, it seems like my habit of dropping them all the time. So we're going to put that there. Now this Allen wrench, I'm sure you can see this, will allow me to run that down into that actuator that turns the rudder and secure it. When it gets tight, which it should be getting tight right about there, we're going to take the side force stabilizer, which has a hole and a notch. There's for the notch, and that locks it in place, and you put it right on there. put this washer now. I'm going to show you this washer because it's got a 10mm hole instead of an 8, and it's a little bit bigger than all the other washers. So, except for one. And this is going to go 17mm wrench. You got to tighten it up good. That's solid. Your rudder's turning again with the nozzle. It's just that easy. Now, and I want to show you. We're talking about the Super Ultimate and the regular Ultimate. Okay. This is the regular Ultimate. Been making these for years. When they made the nozzles wider and they made the reverse gates wider, they changed the angle of the reverse. I guess it's their way of angling it out so the boat turns easier sideways, etc. And that's all fine and dandy, but what I know about steering is that when you have these fins set up, right about from there over is anything above it is out of the water when you're going fast, and anything else is the minute you come off plane, it's all submerged. With that in mind, okay, I thought if I increase the size of the top of the fin, I'm giving you more reverse control at slow speed, more forward control at slow speed, but not changing the effect at high speed, because high speed's perfect. You really don't want any more. It's right where it needs to be. So that brought the Super system. That's your extra influence right there. These fins can be replaced, like they're interchangeable with the original ones, or you can order the originals if that's what you want, or you can order the Super, but they all mount exactly the same. So it's just all the holes, everything's the same, so we don't have to do two demonstrations. One covers everything. First thing I'm going to do is take a 12mm and take the factory bolt off of the left side of the nozzle. And I'm going to turn this around so you can see it a little better. Alright, now, there's a little standoff there. Make sure that stays there. And now, I'll show you the parts for the left side. It's pretty simple. You got it's a button cap stainless steel bolt. You got a flat washer. You've got a standoff for the fin. You notice the hole in the fin, so that it can slide up and down, move around. It's actually made intentionally loose. Now the washer that puts the fin in between the two washers. Now you have your spacer. This spacer accommodates the wider reverse and the wider nozzle. You have another flat washer. Now this is all going to go back into here. I would put a drop of thread locking compound on the threads. Not a lot, just a little. Just, you know, better safe than sorry. You know, put it on there. Don't have to ever worry about it. I also made these very long. These bolts, I've always made the bolts longer so they utilize all of the threads, or majority of the threads that are available, to reinforce everything, make it stronger. So we're going to take the 5mm Allen wrench and we're going to tighten it up. Now even though this is tight, this is loose. This is designed this way. It should have some ability to flop, move around real easy, etc. Fins on. Now we're going to do the right side, which is a little more detailed, but still simple. And it's got the spring on it. Now these are spring loaded. They're also selectable. You can set the actuators so the fins go up at speed, stay down, adjust them, whatever you want. With this spring, you're going to notice there's one arm that's got a kind of like a Z in it, and one that's just got a bend. This one with the list turns goes on the outside. This one with all the turns goes on the inside, so it can hook around onto this steering arm. This is the biggest washer in the kit, but it's got a small 8mm hole. It goes on this 8mm bolt, and it's a hex bolt. It takes a 13mm wrench. Okay. Now you're going to put this spring retainer on here. You're going to put the spring on next with that Z on the inside towards the nozzle. Then you're going to take one of the regular flat washers, put it on. You're going to take this stand off for the fin, put that on. You're going to take this, put it on the fin. Now you're going to take another flat washer and it does the same thing as the other. It holds it in place, but it lets it wiggle around. Then, same as the other, that spacer that pulls them out, flat washer, put a drop of super glue, or not super glue, the thread locking compound on there. And then find the 12mm. Get this one out of the way. Remember, that standoff has to stay in that reverse, so be sure it's there. Put all this into the standoff. Notice there's lots of threads on this one too. There's all of that nozzle there that's threaded. I'm going to try and turn this around so you can see it, so I can see it. But all of that nozzle's threaded, and the longer the threads, the stronger it is. So we'll use them all up and make everything stronger. So now we're going to start this, and it takes a little bit because it's long. And we're going to just put a 13mm wrench on it. Make sure it doesn't bind anything up. It's going on nice and smooth, tight, and it's loose. The right part of the spring is up against the steering arm, and the outside one, so that's all set up right. Next, you have this actuator. Now once you put this actuator in, this actuator is designed specifically to give the front of the fins a little bit of a toe in, so that it tracks like an arrowhead. When it cuts through the water, you can't compress water, so you don't want it funneled out. You want it aimed in just a little bit so it cuts through. Actuator, this is the top, this is the leading edges, goes towards the front. These are button cap screws. They take the smaller 4mm Allen wrench. And on a 19-foot boat, you have all these different settings. These two holes right here are the perfect setting for that boat. So I'm going to set it on there because it puts it even with the hull. You got to remember, on a 19-foot boat, your pump's right dead center at the lowest point of the hull, so you don't want to have them hanging way down. I've seen some steering that just hangs way below the bottom of the boat. It has no choice but to get caught on things, hit the ground, etc. Okay, so now we got these two bolts started. Don't tighten them up yet. I'm going to go on the other side and put them in the exact same spot. I deliberately don't use nylock nuts just to make it easier to do the video, but in reality you'll have nylock nuts on these, so you don't have to worry about any thread locking compound or anything. And there we go. Okay, so now I'm going to take a 10mm and hold on to it. Tighten that. If you tighten one side before the other, because of the angles I put in these, it's going to be harder to install it. So the easiest way is just wait till the end to tighten these up. That one's tight. That one's tight now. Understand that you can set these at different heights, or you can utilize these two, which will change the angle of the actuator. It'll catch the water out of the nozzle. It'll lift up at high speed, but not my recommendation. Also notice these aren't below the rudder. Even these are the biggest fins I make. They're not. That rudder is actually lower. Okay. If these strike something, it's just going to move up. When you're backing in, if you hit the beach, this is curved. Okay. There's nothing going to bind in. There's no point on it. Now, pay real close attention because this is really tough. We're going to load the spring. Ready for that? Pull the arm down. You're done. Spring's loaded. Okay. So you've got all this extra fin up here for slow speed, reverse, forward, etc. You've got fin in the water from about here at high speed. This boat will track nice. You can take your hand off the wheel. You can pull the throttle back without it spinning out all over the place. It's not, another thing that I'm real careful with is all in between here. None of this stuff is down here in the water when you're going fast. None of this stuff is under the nozzle dragging in the water. Okay, I have nothing, no control over the rudder, but I mean, my stuff is 3/16 7-inch thick tempered aircraft aluminum cut with a laser roll. The edges are not sharp, they're all tumbled. Okay, and I've been making these for a long time. I started this in 2001 before anybody else. So that's how you put it together. If you want to change the settings for any reason, you just change the settings of the holes and tighten the screws back up. That's pretty much it.